Welcome to part 11 in this series of videos where we are creating a birthday reminders application using Blazor and C#. In this video, we'll principally look how to calculate someone's next birthday and their current age, or their age next birthday. We will be sending email reminders about forthcoming birthdays 21, 14 and 7 days before a birthday. We will therefore need to know on a daily basis whose birthdays are coming up and the number of days to their birthday. It turns out that this is a lot trickier than one might expect. We will be using SQL to provide this data. So the first thing we'll be looking at is a SQL function to calculate someone's next birthday. Date calculations are notoriously difficult. What may seem plainly obvious to us, such as the date of someone's next birthday, is actually quite difficult to program. I had originally intended simply to write a SQL stored procedure to return a person's next birthday and their age next birthday. This got surprisingly complicated. I therefore decided to make use of a SQL feature known as functions to do the work of calculating the next birthday. So that's the first task. We'll then be creating a stored procedure to return a list of people with next birthdays 21, 14 and 7 days ahead, and we will add age at next birthday and their full name to this stored procedure. We will then modify the person class, PersonService and PersonService interface to take account of these changes. We will then modify the email test page to send emails where appropriate. And lastly, because we aren't getting any feedback from the email test page at the moment, we'll put some toast messages to display what's happening, i.e. whether an email has been sent or whether it hasn't been sent, or where there's just simply nobody that we need to send emails to. So we'll start off by looking at the SQL function to calculate next birthday. This is the SQL function to calculate next birthday, and it's stored, or rather it's not a very good phrase, it will be saved in this folder called functions under programmability. So we're telling it here to use the birthdays database, and we're going to create the function next birthday, and we're going to be passing into the function the date of birth of the person that we're concerned with, and it's going to return a date, and that date's going to be the next birthday. So we start off by declaring a variable called current age as an integer and next birthday as a date, and we're going to be using a SQL function called DateDiff, and this calculates the difference between two dates. You can specify the interval, so the interval might be year, month, day, could even be hour, I believe. And then you put in the two dates, the first date and the second date, and effectively calculates the difference between the first date and the second date. So we can use that to calculate the current age of someone. So current age is going to be the date difference, and I'm specifying the interval as year, between the date of birth and today, and getDate is the SQL function that gets today's date. But there's some peculiarities to do with this, and it might be easiest if we looked at that separately. So let's start a new query. I'm going to paste in the code that I want. So the first thing is just to show that how getDate works. So select getDate as today. If I run that, it says it's the 28th of March 2022 at 10:39. So that's getDate. If we now look at DateDiff, where the interval is a year, and I'm taking someone that was born on the 1st of the 1st, 2021. So I'm going to select the date difference between that and today's date as current age. If I run that, it comes back as 1. So the answer there is 1 year. And that's right, because if someone was born on the 1st of January 2021, at today's date in March 2022, they would be aged 1. But there's a bit of a problem with this, and I'll just show that on the next example. In this example, we're taking someone who's born on the 31st of December 2021, and if we run that, you'll see that we still get an age of 1. So clearly someone who was born at the end of December 2021 is only about 3 months old now, therefore their age is not 1. And what this date difference does is if you put year in here as the interval, it simply does the calculation between 2021 and 2022 and says, right, the difference is 1. It doesn't take into account the months and days of the actual date. So if we look back at our function, we can see that we've got the date difference, and that might be wrong. And what we're doing mentally, although we don't realize it, is that when we're trying to calculate someone's birthday, we say, right, their birthday is 31st of December. When is their next birthday? And we're currently in March. We say, well, it's obviously 31st of December 2022. On the other hand, if their birthday is on the 1st of January, and we're here in March 2022, we say, well, obviously their birthday is the 1st of January 2023. So we've got this little calculation down here. We set the next birthday to the, we use this DateAdd function, which works similarly to the date difference. We say add whatever that is, the interval. Their current age is the number, and the date we're adding it to is their date of birth. So we're adding their current, what is calculated as their current age, to the date of birth. So let's have a look and see how that DateAdd works. So here we have DateAdd, and we're going to use the interval as year. We've got their current age as 1 from up here for this example, and we're going to be adding it to 2021-01 as their next birthday. And if we do that and run it, it comes up as the 1st of January 2022, which is what we kind of think we do automatically, but it's wrong. So, but if we have a look at the date difference for this example, somebody born on the 31st of December, we get this result. Right, if I now run that, it comes up as the 31st of December 2022, which is kind of what we expect. So our function here is calculating their next birthday, which could be January 2022 or December 2022, and then we're comparing it with today's date, and we're saying if the next birthday is less than today's date, we need to add a year to their next birthday, and that will return the correct next birthday. So it seems to be quite a lot of bother to go to calculate someone's next birthday, but that is how the function works. So let's run that function. I'll just parse it, that's fine, and execute it, that's fine. So that's the function, and if we now refresh this and look under functions, and under scalar valued function, we've now got this next birthday function. So I can now get rid of that and those examples. The next thing we want to do is to create a stored procedure that's going to return a list of people whose birthdays are due in X number of days, and we're going to be passing in the parameter for X, which might be 14, 7, 21, etc. So let's look at the stored procedure for that. This is the stored procedure, and I'm going to call it person underscore get by days to next birthday. So I'm going to be passing in the number of days to the next birthday. So that could be 7, 14, 21. So this is the select statement. It's going to select the person's first name, and then I'm going to create the whole name. So I'm checking that person first name isn't null. So is null, and if it is, I'll put in an empty string. Then I'm going to put in a space, and then I'm going to put in their last name as long as it isn't null. And I'm going to, so that concatenation there is going to be called person's full name. I'm then using that new function called next birthday, and I'm passing in their date of birth, and that's going to return their next birthday. And then I'm going to calculate how many days it is between today, so date difference, day, today, and their next birthday as the number of days to the next birthday. So that could be any number between 1 and 365 or possibly 366. And then I'm calculating their age next birthday, and I'm using DateDiff again with the interval of a year, their date of birth, and their next birthday, which is coming back from that function, so that will be correct, and therefore the age next birthday. And I'm lastly including the person to send the reminder to. So that's the select statement, but I'm only going to get returned, I only want those records where the number of days to their next birthday is the number of days that we're passing into the parameter. And as a parameter into the stored procedure. And then I'm going to order it by next birthday. So that's the stored procedure. So again, let's just execute that to create it. And that's that done. So what we've done here, I think, is most of the hard work to do with calculating next birthday and age of next birthday is now all done in SQL, and we'll now get a list of people returned whose birthdays are in the next 21 days or so. That's the SQL side. Now let's look at the C#. And what I want to do in the C# is, first of all, we've got some extra things coming back, such as the person's full name. So we'll need to change the person class, the PersonService, to take account of this get by days to next birthday and the interface. So let's look at this C# code. In the data folder, we've got the person class, and we'll need to make some changes to this. And we need to add the additional columns that the stored procedure is going to be returning. And these are the person's full name, their next birthday, the number of days to their next birthday, and their age next birthday. I think the only thing to note here is that the next birthday is date time. We don't need any validation on any of this or error messages, because these are just coming straight back from the stored procedure. Next, we need to look at the PersonService. And we've now got, as well as the insert and person list and get one, we now want to add a new section in here where we're getting them by their number of days to the next birthday. So let's make a space and put it in here. So what we're doing here is we're going to have an enumerable that's going to return a person object, and we're going to call it person get by days to next birthday. Actually, let's get rid of that underscore. and we're passing into it the days to the next birthday. We're adding the parameters days to next birthday, and we're using the normal connection and then getting the list of people from the stored procedure. So that's the change we need to make to the service. And now, of course, we need to change the iPersonService as well. And I'm just going to put this, I think I put it under here. Doesn't matter where it goes. And that was, I got rid of the underscore. So those are the changes on that. Before moving on to automate the sending of email reminders, we should check our logic by updating the email test page to incorporate semi-automatic dispatch of emails. So we're first of all going to open our email test page, and we need to inject the PersonService in here. We also need, in the code section, to declare a couple of variables. So these variables are the IEnumerable of person called people and the list of persons called birthday people. Now what I'm going to do is replace the whole of this with some revised code. So what we've got here is some declaration of some variables, the send to, the subject and the email body, which are all strings. And then I've got a for loop, and I'm going to declare an integer called days notice, and I'm going to set it to 7, and I'm going to loop round from 7 effectively to 21, and I'm going to increase it by 7 each time. So it's going to be 7, 14 and 21. Then I'm going to call the PersonService get by days to next birthday, and I'm going to be passing in days notice, which is the part of the for loop here. And then I'm going to get birthday people, which is going to be the list of people being returned by the stored procedure. And then for each person in that list, I'm going to say the send to is the person send reminder to from the database. I'm going to have this email subject as, and it's a concatenation saying it's, and then the person's full name, birthday, and the email body. Now the email body, I'm going to have different versions of it depending on whether it's 21, 14 or 7 days. So if it's 21 days, I'm just going to say a bit of warning that it's whoever it is. Otherwise it's going to say don't forget it's whoever it is. Or if it's 7 days, better get cracking, it's only 7 days notice until whatever. And then at the bottom of it all, I'm saying it's the email body plus the first name, birthday on such and such, and I'm converting the next birthday to string and then formatting it in the UK format. And I'm also saying that if the age is going to be less than 21, I'm going to say that how old they're going to be. And then lastly, I've got a sign off saying it's from Chris and Chris's automated birthday reminder service. So you can put in here whatever you like. So that is building it up. And then I'm going to say if email service send, and then I'm passing in the parameter who to send it to, the subject and the body, do something, otherwise do something else. That should effectively send out emails where appropriate, but we don't know whether it's worked or not. If you remember last time when we sent the email, it just went and there was no feedback at all. What I want to do now is provide some form of feedback in the way of a toast message, and we can use Sync Fusion Toast to do this. So we're going to add the toast to the HTML section. And I think we can just put it at the bottom down here. The class here is used for styling, and we'll get onto that a little bit later. We've got a reference which we need to declare. Timeout is 4,000, so that's milliseconds, so that shows that the toast is going to be displayed for 4,000 milliseconds or 4 seconds, and we're positioning it in the top right. Now we may as well add the CSS styling for this. We could do this in a number of ways, but I'm just going to add it in the code here. So all this styling here is to do with the toast. And there's a bit of me that says we should put this in a separate file, but I'll leave it there for the moment. We now need to declare the toast object, and we also need to declare a couple of variables for the toast message itself. So this is how the Syncfusion toast works. So I've declared the object which we've got up here, and that red squiggly is now gone. But we have to provide it with a list, effectively, of messages. So I'm declaring 4 here: warning, success, error, and information. And we've then got content. There was a problem with your network connection, and then the class and so on. I've got that I won't be using, I don't believe, but we've got success and error and information. It says your message has been sent successfully, or a problem has been occurred while submitting your email. So those are the toast's messages that we can show. I say I've created 4. I don't think we're going to need 4. And remembering, of course, that this is they're numbered from 0. So this top one is 0, 1, 2, and 3. So the last part of this is to put in here what we want the toast to show if we succeed. And what we want here is we're going to say await this toast object show toast, and then it's going to be number 1, or else we want to show toast number 2. The result of this is that if an email is sent successfully, the toast is displayed with the title and content from index number 1. Similarly, if the email fails, the toast with index number 2 is displayed. We will therefore get a message or messages if any emails are sent, or if an email should be sent but has failed for any reason. However, if there are no emails due to be sent, there is still no feedback. To correct this, we can declare a boolean and set it to false. If any emails are found, we can set the boolean to true and then test at the end of the sent email method for the value of the boolean. If it's still false, we can display a toast that states that no birthdays were found. To add this extra toast, we need to declare a variable for the boolean, and we're going to do this at the top of the code. So up here, we're going to enter this. So that's set to false automatically. Then down here, under the send email, if we find any people with a birthday, we can set that boolean to true. I'll just separate it from these other items down here. And then at the bottom of the code, if someone hasn't been found, we can display a toast to say that. So I want it at the end of this one. So we want this code in here. So if someone with birthday found is still false, we're going to show toast number 3. So we just need to change toast number 3 to say something like this. No one with an upcoming birthday was found. And with those changes in place, we should be able to run it and see what happens. For the eagle-eyed, you'll spot that we've got a couple of errors down here. They're not relevant. I've been playing around at some stage with Radson Blazor controls components, and I've since removed them, but it still thinks I've got them here lurking around somewhere. Anyway, let's give this a go. So here is our list of people with birthdays, and let's go to the email test page, and I'm going to try and send an email. And I get a toast up here saying no one with an upcoming birthday was found. So that seems to be working to some extent. So let's try dealing with this. Now we need to be very careful with these because we need someone with a birthday that's going to be either 7, 14 or 21 days ahead of today, which happens to be the 28th of March. So let's try editing that. I think if we look at the calendar, today's the 28th of March, which is a Monday. So 1 week ahead will be the 4th of April. So let's save that. Right. Good job I've got these checks in here. Right, so that's that. So let's check the email. I'll send another. And it says a message has been sent successfully. And my email is open down here. And I've now got a message. It's David Brown's birthday. And the message says, it's David Brown's birthday, is the subject. Hello, better get cracking. It's only 7 days until David's birthday on the 4th of the 4th, 2022. David will be 2. So that seems to be working. Now, obviously, we'd need to give this a lot more testing with birthdays, 14, 21 days, 13, and so on. Just a complete range of birthdays, but that seems to be working fine. The next challenge will be to automate this so that the user doesn't have to come in, or someone doesn't have to come in and run this email test every day. We'll be moving on to that in the next video, where we'll be using Hangfire to start this approach. As always, I'll put some links in the description to anything that I think might be useful, and thank you very much for watching.